The market has been shaky to say the least over the last week. We got some great news on Friday from Powell's speech. We saw Ethereum cross all-time highs, but now we're kind of seeing a little bit of a lull and a pullback off of that news in the market. But there are literal on-chain moves right now, hundreds of millions of dollars moving into the next narratives in the market. We're seeing Bitcoin dominance fall as well, and it's honestly falling pretty sharply, which means money is moving into altcoins. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few of the alts that I love in this time period as this rotation plays out, and you really have no rush. September is traditionally a very slow month in crypto. I think you need to prepare for October, and we're going to get you ready for that with all of our top picks in this video. So let's just go ahead and dive into it.
Before we get into it today, guys, be sure to drop down below if you're enjoying the content here on the channel, like the video, and subscribe down below for more every single week here on In the Game. We have you covered top to bottom from everything you need to win this bull market, and we definitely have a few months to be able to take advantage of these prices. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some incredible sponsors from Nexus, as well as Blowfin and DeriW, the derivatives exchange from CoinW. And today I want to give a big shout out to Blowfin. Right now, first of all, they run some of the best bonuses in the game. If you are looking for a centralized exchange, no KYC restrictions, you can trade from anywhere without a VPN. Be sure to drop down, hit the link in the description for Blowfin, and every single month they're giving away luxury watches, nice tech, iPads, iPhones, etc. So be sure to check out Blowfin down below, involved with the best centralized exchange in all of crypto. Now, let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. The market has changed tremendously over the last week. We saw a big flush down to 111 before Powell spoke at Jackson Hole on Friday, and then we saw the market surge all the way up to 117K. We saw Ethereum actually hit new all-time highs at $4,900, but now the market's in a little bit of turmoil again, because now that we got that news, it kind of feels like it was a buy the rumor, sell the news event, but kind of inverse. We pumped off the Jackson Hole speech because sentiment was so low. Now we hear there could be rate cuts, and now people are kind of, selling off some bags. We saw some altcoins with strength. We see Solana hovering around $200. We see Hyperliquid performing very well, and we're going to talk about our trades at the moment and which coins are doing well, showing strength, and which ones I would still be accumulating. But this market has been a bit of a head scratcher. But honestly, looking at historicals on bull markets, August 2021 was not really strong, and we didn't start seeing price action in a bull market fashion actually until September of 2021, late September, when we saw Cardano season, the smart contracts kick things off. Then we saw ecosystem pumps like AVAX, Solana, Polkadot, etc. And then we saw the gaming narrative. So right now, we haven't really seen that rotation fully play out, but we did just see ETH touch those all-time highs. We're seeing Bitcoin dominance fall right now at 57%. So a lot of signs are showing that we are about to start rotating into altcoins. People who lack conviction will pay the price this season, in my honest opinion. And I absolutely agree with Ghost on that take. We see the institutional interest is still so high. I don't really, I don't think that the thesis is going to change in the short term whatsoever. We see Strategy acquiring another 3,000 Bitcoin. We see Metaplanet buying another 103 Bitcoin. We also see El Salvador stacking every single day, adding 1 Bitcoin to their treasury every day, now holding 6,278 Bitcoins worth $721 million. And look, these top protocol coins like Solana are just continuing to also add a very bullish narrative, as we see Bloomberg reports that Galaxy Digital, Multicoin Capital, and Jump Crypto are in talks with backers to raise $1 billion to acquire Solana. And like Easy tweets here, you really just have to zoom out and see all of this adoption happening one layer at a time. It really just screams at you that this bull run is nowhere near its conclusion. And to be honest, look, my top picks haven't changed. If you've been watching this channel, I'm really just hyper focused, and we'll talk about a hyper platform here in just a second. Actually, my top pick, which the leverage trade that we put in, is doing very nicely so far. But just looking across the board, you know, stuff like 𝗬𝗎 at 345, even Athena at 65 cents. I think that's going to resurge very nicely. We see Tau at 333. That is dirt cheap. We see Pengu still hovering at 3 cents. And I do think Pengu, after the abstract TGE gets announced, I think this will be the most explosive coin in crypto at that point in time. Moving on down the ladder, 𝗧𝗐𝗘 almost at $1 again. We've been buying this since 60 cents. I think 𝗧𝗐𝗘 is going to move very nicely whenever we do see this kick back up. So $1.10 for 𝗧𝗐𝗘 is also extremely cheap. Moving into the gaming narrative, I think Wilder World, 𝗥𝗡𝗏, as well as WAGMI Games have shown some of the most strength during this downtime. And I think all three of those, the price action will reflect whenever we turn back around as well. So those are some of the coins I am looking at in different niches: DeFi, gaming, high-level protocols. But look, like I said, there's a couple coins right now that I am just continuing to lock in on. And the first and foremost one is Hyperliquid. Right now, we are seeing in the market Bitcoin dump, right? We just saw this flush out from 112 up to 117 back to 112 within just a couple of days. The Bitcoin OG who received 100,000 Bitcoin, now $11.4 billion, is frantically moving his Bitcoin into ETH. Well, what platform did he use to move that Bitcoin into ETH? He used Hyperliquid. They deposited 22,000 Bitcoin to Hyperliquid, and then bought 472,000 Ethereum worth $2.2 billion and opened a long worth $577 million. This is all on Hyperliquid, and I've said it 50 times on this channel over the course of the last months. I firmly believe that Hyperliquid will be $100 plus this bull market, and I think there's still time to be able to build a position here. For me, if you haven't bought yet, we've been talking about this, a leveraged long with healthy margin, making sure your liquidation price is very low, but on top of that with enough upside to carry this trade. I think it's going to be by far the best leverage trade this cycle. We see Hyperliquid eating up the market. ETH and SOL can't reach out $2 million in fees. Meanwhile, Hyperliquid is up to $6 million in fees over the 24 hours. Literally, Tron, Solana, and Ethereum combined don't even eclipse the fees that Hyperliquid did in this last 24-hour time period. We see a $225 million volume day on Project X, the #1 DeFi platform on Hyper EVM. And I love this because this is so true. Jarvis, what is Robinhood's market cap? 95 billion. Jarvis, what is Hype's market cap? 15 billion. Jarvis, does Robinhood use revenue for stock buybacks? No, they do not. And then on top of that, Jarvis, does Hyperliquid use revenue for token buybacks? Yes, over $1.2 billion a year. And Hyperliquid total trading volume surpassed Robinhood's trading volume in May and June. This is ridiculous numbers. So for those people who are saying you're late to Hyperliquid, first and foremost, you are definitely not. I think this goes to triple digits, and this is one of the most exciting protocols we've had in crypto over the course of the last 4 years easily. And on top of that, I think not enough people are allocated in size to be able to take advantage of this. I really do think Hyper EVM is undersaturated, and I think Hyperliquid, other than getting it on a centralized exchange, is pretty hard to get your hands on. You got to bridge into Hyperliquid. You have to use the protocol. And a lot of people are lazy enough to just not want to do that. So I do think Hyperliquid goes to $100 this cycle very easily. And I think that this says it all. We can see the metrics out front about Hyperliquid, right? Hyperliquid is like a public bathroom where you have to sit across from someone else, and Binance is where they're using stalls and dividing everything up, right? The transparent trade here is Hyperliquid. So first and foremost, the Hyperliquid long that we put in around $42, we are doing very well on that on margin at this point in time. And I do think we're going to look up in a few months and see $60, $70, $80 to $100 on Hyperliquid. And this will turn out to be one of the best trades, especially on leverage, that anyone could have made this cycle. And back to this with the Bitcoin whale moving into Ethereum. These are the first little breadcrumbs of the rotation of capital, right? And we always talk about every bull run, Bitcoin, Ethereum, layer ones, majors, and then it goes into low market cap altcoins. This is the first resemblance of that this cycle, seeing a huge Bitcoin wallet rotate a ton of capital into Ethereum. And this is where we start to look at those major protocols. So as I said, I'm really focused on the majors right now because that's where the money's going to go first. And this look on chain post here going over the Bitcoin to ETH rotation from this massive wallet, I think that is the first thing you need to be looking at and saying, okay, where will the money flow next? And just looking at the top protocols. We've already seen XRP all-time highs. We've already seen BNB all-time highs. I think Solana is due for all-time highs in the coming months. I think Chainlink could continue a big run. I know Hyperliquid is going to continue just given the traction. And those metrics against Robinhood, the fact that if you just look at the freaking volume, it's insane. Robinhood versus Hyperliquid total trading volumes. Hyperliquid has done more than Robinhood, which is a publicly traded stock that doesn't buy back billions of dollars worth of their own token, right? So you can find so many good major protocols that I think money will flow into. I'll go over a couple quickly. Obviously, 𝗬𝗎, one of their DeFi protocols, momentum is absolutely crushing. The growth on chain does not reflect this price action. And the next coin we talk about is the exact same thing, but it's also criminal just how cheap, in my opinion, 𝗬𝗎 and Avalanche is. As today, we just see Grayscale submits an S1 to the SEC for an approval for an Avalanche ETF. And look, it's been really frustrating throughout this cycle to see Avalanche not pump, right? We see it get up to $27, $28, and then the market kind of does its thing and it comes back down to these low $20 levels. I think we do see $100 plus on AVAX as well. I would love to say we pass all-time highs. It's like a 7x from here, but the way how slow the coin has been this cycle, it's kind of hard to justify. However, I think triple digits is easy for Avalanche, given the fact that they're working with governments and states for their stable coins, and they're doing the Japanese stable coin. They're working with some of the biggest banks and different sports teams. They're doing tickets on chain with Sports Illustrated. They have great games building on the chain. The amount going on AVAX, it doesn't make sense that this is so suppressed at this point in the market. And I definitely do think if you just look at stuff like TON, 𝗬𝗏, 𝗪𝗏, like I said earlier in the video, Pengu, you could allocate into some of these big tokens and really make big swings and big gains whenever the time comes just by taking these simple trades. It does not have to be difficult. You can just literally allocate into these top protocols with decent size, be able to make profits. You could shift those profits then down to some lower market cap altcoins and take advantage of that when those do run. And speaking of low caps, when we go down into the low cap sections, I still do love Block Street at 13 cents. This is way too cheap given the World LibertyFi launch is right around the corner. I think that we look at stuff here in this level like Zentry as well. Zentry as a gaming coin. I know they have some big alpha coming up around the corner too. I think it's definitely due for a pump, and it is still green on the weekly during a time period where a lot of coins are just getting eaten alive. It's good to see Altura bouncing back as well. Altura, their old team kind of had some turmoil. They got acquired, and this thing is up 700% this month from the bottom, so that's been awesome to see. But as far as low market cap coins, Talbot, Neural AI, GPU, Polis, and then also WAGMI Games, XBorg, and Wilder World, those are where I would look if you want some really springboard gains whenever the market does turn back around. And then last but not least, of course, look, my picks are not going to change too. I want you guys to understand there will be times where we allocate to a new coin, right? On the shows, in the market, etc. But right now, there's no reason to get cute. There's no reason to try to flip the model on its head. We're looking to accumulate the best coins in the market for when the real alt season does occur. And this rotation of capital that we just saw is one of those first actual glances at what it's going to look like when people start moving ETH into other protocols and then going down that ladder. So that is what I am focused on right now. I'm not trying to get sexy or cute, give you guys some 100K market cap that's going to go to 100 mil. Like, that's not where the focus is in the market at this point in time. Right now, I want to allocate into good projects. Let's swing those up. We can take a percentage of those profits and be able to play around and make big gains whenever things get euphoric in the markets. But last but certainly not least, let's talk about football.fun. This absolutely took over the timeline over the weekend. And if you've been watching the shows recently, we gave this out at $14 million market cap last week right here on this channel. As you can see right here, 4 or 5 days ago, $19 million market cap here as we're talking on the show. I think we posted this on Thursday, August 20th. That would have been last Wednesday, actually, that we talked about this. $19 million market cap. Yesterday, the market cap went up to $155 million. It did have a pullback. It's sitting around $90 million in total market cap for players on football.fun. But this is literally just prediction market using fantasy soccer or fantasy football for those in Europe who would hate me calling it soccer. I'm here in America, but I'm a big Premier League fan. I love the Champions League. So this stuck out to me immediately. This thing almost did a 10x from whenever we first brought it up on this channel, still up 5x in market cap. And right now, this is the biggest app by revenue, by volume on the base network. Kind of funny that yesterday everyone was talking about fantasy.fun or football.fun and saying that, you know, this is the next revolutionary app in crypto. And then today there was a little bit of a pullback in, you know, player markets from 150 to about 90 million, but it's gone up so fast that people are going to take profits and people have to understand that. And it says a lot about, you know, how weak the market is on these types of things, right? It just has one big surge. People think it's over. That's the top. But look, there's $10.5 million in TVL, $26 million in volume, $1.5 million in app revenue here. And look, Official Fantasy Premier League and also Football Manager each have 10 million active users. Football.fun got up to $150 million market cap with only 0.02% of the user count of that entire app ecosystem of Fantasy Premier League as also Football Manager. We see here they generated about 350K over the last 24 hours. At its peak, Top Shot did about 1.6 million in a day, and So Rare peaked at nearly 11 million in February 2021. As of that time, there was only 5,000 users. I don't really think that this ecosystem has topped. And if you think that players are too expensive, just try to snipe the new launches. As we see here, flipped $500 into 4.5K just by sniping a player that just launched. And people are saying that the top is in. Look, I really don't believe so. And also, if you got involved whenever we gave it here, you have to be in profit. There's just no way at this point in time, if you got in when we first brought this up, that you are not in profit. We talked about it here on YouTube. We talked about it in our group at 𝗕TOO. So that has been a major win so far, but also there's a lot of drama on the timeline. Just looking at the tea leaves, looking at the on-chain metrics of the app, there's no way, in my opinion, that it has topped. The team has so much around the corner as well. And look, we're still up about 5-6x since we gave it here, right here on In the Game. So had to give a quick update there as it has taken the crypto Twitter world by storm. And I do think there's more upside. I just think it pumped way too fast and people had to take profits. Like, that's the responsible thing to do at that point in time. So that's what I'm seeing in the market right now, guys. I'm keeping it very simple. I'm willing to have patience, and I think that's what people don't understand a lot as well. They think that it has to happen tomorrow. And I saw a great meme slash I guess you could just call it just a graphic, investing graphic. Over a week time period, if you capitulate, that is a poor mindset, as they would call it. A month time period, you could see some fluctuations, you could get lucky, but if you hold for that 6-12 month long-term time horizon, that's how you actually win in these markets. And of course, we've had a lot of wins and we've had some tough losses over the course of the last 4 years heading into the peak of this cycle, which I do believe is right around the corner, but everything is leading up to this, right? The conviction, you can't let that waver during these times in the market. So I do think we have to prepare for late September, early October for big time upside in the market. And that's why I continue to stack my highest conviction plays right here on the channel. So guys, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel for more as well. We will be back tomorrow as always with more market coverage, and I will see y'all on the next one. As always, play well, my friends, trade responsibly, and of course, stay bullish, my friends.